welcome, I'm the legendary Pokemaster, and today we are counting down the top 10 Pokemon that could be improved in the Diamond and Pearl remakes. These are all Pokemon that originated in Sinnoh and could be improved in a way with the upcoming games. I also wanted to say that if a Pokemon is on this list, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. Actually, most of the Pokemon on this list are pretty good. It's just that they could be kind of improved upon. So with that said, without further ado, let's start. Number 10 is Spiritomb. So we're starting off with this Pokemon, which may be a little biased because back in the olden days of Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, this Pokemon was my savior. Good. No weaknesses! But then X and Y came along. So thanks, fairy type. In my opinion, the only real thing that made Spiritomb stand out was it not being weak to any type, along with Sableye, but that thing is kind of weak. You can also pull off some awesome combos with it, similar to Darkrai, 99% of which involve Dream Eater and some sleep-inducing move. While you can still do those, if a fairy type comes along, which I have noticed a lot of people have on hand these days, Spiritomb can probably be finished off in like 2 hits with most of its moves not even being effective against said fairy type. Bottom line, maybe removing the no weaknesses thing is a good way to balance the playing field with Spiritomb, but it would still be nice to help Spiritomb from falling into obscurity to add something else to it in return. Number 9 is Porygon Z. There's gonna be that one guy who watches all my videos and is gonna say, "But Austin, that's your favorite Pokemon, so you're biased!" Well, I don't care. This Pokemon probably does need a buff in some shape or form due to its comparative disuse. When compared to its prior evolution, Porygon 2, Porygon Z only has a base stat total of 20 higher, and actually ends up having less rounded stats than its predecessor. This leads to most people just slapping an Evilite on Porygon 2, and voila! Porygon Z, but with less effort and kind of stronger. And if you didn't know about that before this video, pro strat, go use it. For that reason, I feel like some type of type change needs to be implemented to make this here a harder choice. Maybe something like a little bit more of a gap between the stats or a Mega Evolution or something. You know, because people still use those. Number 8 is Bibarel, the walking evolved meme itself due in part to Pokemon Rusty. The reason this Pokemon needs a buff is because it's more of a stage 2 evolution than a final evolution. It has only a base stat total of 410 and evolves at level 15. On top of that, its moveset is pretty weak, and the only semi-good-ish move is Superpower, which itself has significant downsides and only 5 PP. This essentially makes its pre-evolution, Bidoof, actually more viable, being somewhat useful to start of the Sinnoh region due to stat differences not mattering much at that point. By the moment that Bidoof evolves, there would already really be so many better options available, making it kinda useless. For that reason, Bibarel probably needs either a stat boost or an evolution to have people actually use it. Number 7 is Gallade. Now I know this one isn't too essential, but the main thing that backs up the claim that Gallade needs a buff is that it's kind of lagging behind to an extent in comparison with its counterpart, Gardevoir. Sure, they both have Mega Evolutions and the same base stat total, but Gallade might as well not even have a special attack stat. Its main specialty is, instead, physical attack, aka just close combat. Except, of course, for TMs, but which are like, Earthquake and Stone Edge and... Whoa. Point is, Gallade doesn't have many supplements to its massive physical attack stat. All this while Gardevoir does to an equally high special attack. This causes somewhat of an imbalance between the two in my opinion, which could be helped by an introduction of new physical moves for Gallade. Number 6, Weavile. This Pokemon can be good, don't get me wrong, but it could be better. The main thing dragging it down is its typing, which combined with the Sinnoh region itself doesn't give you that much reason to use this thing. First off, we've got 4 times weakness to fighting, a type that I seem to see everywhere in this region. Then we've got Rock, which is rampant throughout much of this area. Bug, which is basically everywhere. Steel, which is all over here. And then Fire. And Fire's here, and here, and here. Then there's Fairy also, and you know they're gonna want to show that off in Sinnoh. So because of that, this thing really isn't for the region unless you want to fight Ice types. And honestly, in my personal experience, I've never battled a Weavile for more than 3 turns. And no, Weavile did not win. Altering typing or introducing a Mega Evolution would really help Weavile, because without the typing, considering the stats and moves, this Pokemon actually is really good. Number 5 is Phione. No one uses this thing. Actually, no one even knows what this thing is. Is it mythical, legendary, regular, or what? Not even the Pokemon Company knows! And why would you choose this over Manaphy? Well, actually, that question is easy. You don't choose this over Manaphy. Considering that you need Manaphy to get Phione in the game, there is literally no reason whatsoever you should be using this Pokemon. You already have Manaphy, which is Phione, but 50 billion times more powerful. The base stat total is terrible for something so hard to get. Also, it doesn't excel in any field whatsoever and barely has any moves that other things can't offer with double the power. With that said, basically any change to Phione could be a good one. Give it a higher base stat total, or actually good moves, or an interesting typing, or something. Maybe throw Fairy in there. And that's saying a lot because I don't like Fairy much at all. Just anything really to make this Pokemon stand out as a viable water type. Number 4 is Vespiquen. I'm pretty sure everyone knows the struggle of getting this thing. However, this not really. This almost extremely rare Pokemon suffers from a plague encountered numerous times already throughout this video. Bad typing. Flying doesn't even give Vespiquen any good moves and kind of just detracts from it by adding some weaknesses and adding 2 existing weaknesses. Although it does add an immunity to ground, that would have already been a resistance if this was just a plain bug type. I feel like removing the flying type from Vespiquen would make the tedious task of finding it way more justified, and also maybe increasing that speed stat just a little would help a bit. Number 3 is Purugly. I'm pretty sure you saw this one. This thing is just another one of those Pokemon that kinda exists. It's like Phione, but much less interesting and cool. The only usage I've ever seen it is that one person in Team Galactic, where I kinda KO'd it in like 2 hits or something. And the false Purugly fainted. Aside from that, this is the epitome of a normal-type Pokemon, and I mean that literally. There's nothing special about this Pokemon at all, and it has mediocre stats, a bland moveset consisting of mostly semi-terrible normal-type moves, a forgettable and even unpleasant design in my opinion, and an evolution level that demands so much out of you for so little reward. Also, I like how its speed is very high, but everything else is terrible. So you can always go first, but it attacks with echoed voice at 64 base power. This thing honestly needs, just like Phione, anything to make it semi-decent, whether it be new moves, stats, typing, I don't care. Until then, this Pokemon might as well not even exist because I've never seen anyone actually use this. Number 2 is Dusknoir, or Dusknoir, or just whatever you want. I get yelled at enough for pronunciation. This Pokemon is disappointing for what it is, honestly. Here we have a ghost type with massive defenses and an awesome looking design in my opinion. And the attack stat is also pretty good. But there are 2 main problems for this Pokemon, the first of which is a stat distribution dilemma. HP on this Pokemon is terrible, and practically renders the existence of those massive defense stats completely obsolete. When I used this Pokemon for a long time in Pokemon Platinum, and yes I did do that, I always ended up having it with about either half HP or red zone HP by the end of every battle where I used it on more than one Pokemon. Long story short, this thing is not the answer for endurance. The other thing is that its specialty, physical attack, doesn't really match up with any of its moves. The strongest physical attacks it actually learns by leveling up are the 3 elemental punches, each with 75 base power. Either one of these problems or both being resolved would greatly improve the overall performance of Dusknoir, and would encourage me to return to it as one of my final stages for the new game. Number 1. It's Arceus. But Austin, I'm thinking Arceus' base stat total of 720! Yes, but we need more. The reason I chose Arceus is because despite its massive stats, this Pokemon has basically been wallowing in neglect ever since that Pokemon movie that it had. Since then, the Pokemon has seldom been talked about, re-released, or even changed in any way. As is, it was barely relevant to the plot in Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Meanwhile, this is supposed to be the ultimate Pokemon! But recently it's fallen behind to things like the Mega Mewtwo's, Mega Rayquaza, and Ultra Necrozma. For that reason, I feel like it needs a buff past most, if not all, of these other Pokemon in order to uphold its reputation of the strongest godlike legendary Pokemon ever. Having it in the story would also be nice, seeing that it has only been available through event throughout the entirety of its history. But anyway, that's my list. As always, opinions are so different that they made an entire YouTube feature for them. So what do you think? Do you agree that these Pokemon need buffs, and what other Sinnoh Pokemon could use one in the upcoming games? Please leave a comment down below. You can also subscribe to see videos like this twice a week. Regardless, LPM is back, and I will see you in the next video.